beautiful Monday. Welcome to your most authoritative show on TV. It's The Pulse. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kukumlimli on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Remember, we are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. This afternoon, blow-by-blow account of how officials of the Bongo District Assembly fraudulently cashed out hundreds of thousands of cedis from the account of a contractor who was bidding for contract with them.
To know about it, but what prompted him to make enquiries was a text message he received on his phone indicating that some amount of money had been withdrawn from his account.
We have details of Manasseh's expose on The Pulse, plus a conversation on how the matter has unfolded. Also this afternoon, fresh calls for election of MMDCEs following pockets of violence and agitations that greeted President Akufo-Addo's nominations amid suggestions of tougher times as appointees seek approval from assemblies.
As the head of the Achim Mafia has come to play, because it appears that they just want to feel themselves and the masses can go to hell, they don't care.
The expert views on the matter in a full swing conversation coming up shortly for you. Plus, Guinean military calls the bluff of ECOWAS rejecting a request to have deposed President Alpha Condé released and rapishing almost all the sanctions imposed by the regional body in its Accra meeting last week. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. The Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities, Dignilu Affordable Safe Sanitation. We're also streaming live on YouTube and all our social media handles. Tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is @Nana Aisha. Always a pleasure to host you.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel Atto. You can catch up with all the fun and inspiration on the Joy Sports link here on Joy 99.7 FM, together with all other shows over and over again. It's very simple. All you need to do is go to myjoyonline.com/podcast and relive all of those fun moments over and over again. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
This afternoon, there are fresh calls for reforms to allow the election of metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives. This comes in the wake of pockets of violence and agitation in parts of the country following the announcement of President Akufo-Addo's nominees. Take a look. Disappointed DC aspirant whose supporters went on a rampage at Tripoli in the northeast region has called for calm among his followers. The aspirant SK Orlando, however, says he will not back down on his aspirations while urging his supporters to use the local power to challenge the president's decision. He was speaking after his supporters attacked and destroyed party properties in a violent demonstration over the appointment.
The disappointed aspirant, Kofi Orlando, who was rumored to have been tipped for the DCE position, was however shocked to hear the name of Madam Zuwairatu Mada Nasiru mentioned in the final list of MMDC nominees presented yesterday by the local government and rural development minister. In response, his supporters poured onto the street in a violent protest, clashing with security forces and destroying party properties. The rampaging supporters destroyed 6 party pavilions at different locations in the township, and at least one person was wounded after a brawl broke out at the residence of the party's constituency chairman, where the angry supporter had besieged to cause further damage to party properties. They were, however, overpowered and dispersed by the police. Listen to some of the supporters justifying their action.
And we the people of Chirponi want to send a clear message to the president that the tag NDC has been given to him as the head of the Achim Mafia has come to play. Because it appears that they just want to feel themselves and the masses can go to hell, they don't care. Now, we are in Chirponi. One Honorable Orlando grew as a young man. He knew no other job apart from party work. He's served the party from a very young age till death. And this man has gone through the ranks, been the deputy secretary for 9 good years, the substantive secretary for another 8 years, and now it is his turn to eat. Let's put it that way. Excuse me for my word, eat. And you sit there and concord your own story to tell us that people in Chirponi rather recommend Hajj Azuera. Who is Hajj Azuera?
It's a day that we are all disappointed. The thousands of people that you see, show your cameras, the thousands of people that you see here, are all here to mourn for no one but SK. This is a guy who has demonstrated all his life in the service of MPP. I am a party born. It is SK success. It is SK success that will touch all of us. A patriot like me who have served for so many years to be served. We are highly disappointed.
Speaking to the media, the disappointed aspirant urged calm among his supporters but said it wasn't over yet.
MPP has been able to identify her as such and leaving people who have suffered for the party so many years. I want to say that I wouldn't want to comment so much. I leave everything to God. God will decide my fate. Let's hold ourselves and see what God has for us. It is not over yet because our lives are important. The president has his executive power to do what he has done, and we also have our local power to decide. But I still urge you to be calm. It is not over yet. God will decide for us.
Meanwhile, security personnel have intensified patrols to maintain law and order in the area already beset by travel and land conflict. Ilyasu Tanko reporting.
The nomination of Kennedy can come as MCE for the Sokori-Mampong area in the Ashanti region is also attracting strong opposition from some assembly members. The assembly members say the former MP for Nshaisa is not known in the area and might not understand the dynamics of the people and their needs. Prince Apia has more in the following report.
The MMDC nominations in Ashanti region has seen new faces like Maxwell Ofusum-Boache for Swami, Kennedy Kankan for Asokori-Mampong Municipal Assembly, and Sampai as the Chief Executive for the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. There has been mixed reactions from across the region. Residents of the Asokwa Municipal Assembly, for instance, were expectant of the renomination of Mr. Akunia Sajuma.
In fact, all of us are happy, because we have a good working relationship with him, coupled with this human relationship, and then he also knows the work. He knows the work, and then these 2 years that he came to office, he did his best as a newly created municipality. He was fantastic. I'm happy the president has seen his good works and has renominated him.
The Asokori-Mampong Municipal Assembly is one of the interesting municipal assemblies in Ashanti region. Again, it is one of the newest, because it was created in 2013 after the 2012 elections. The first municipal chief executive was Nuh Hamidan for the NDC. Then Ali Duseidu took over when the MPP came to power. The expectation in this particular nominations was that he will be retained. But unfortunately, Mr. Kennedy can come. Fortunately for him, his name has been mentioned. But the residents here and the Assembly are not really happy about the turn of events.
We have wanted somebody who is a resident of this municipality, who is more abreast of our situation. But Kennedy a former MP for Nshia, so I don't think for now my people will be that much enthused about his appointment.
MC, you know, yan nipa asawasi nipa dia. Yenti asiye. Asawasi nipa we ba fan kura. Ye pe no sa. Anya sa dia assemblyman so no. Mo muntu ma no.
So far as someone is new to you doesn't mean that the person don't have a potential. Can come is a new name, but we are all looking for someone that will help us to develop our communities.
No, because Kennedy Kankam's name never cropped up. It never popped up. It came as a surprise to some of us.
At least the president could have nominated from the aspirant. Kennedy Kankam is not from this constituency. He doesn't know how we have really suffered to retain the party in power 2020. So coming to Asawasi constituency, how will he know the grassroots? How will he know the party faithful? So that anytime they come for help, he can help them. But if the nomination could have come from the aspirant, at least they are our brothers. We quarrel, we fight, but as we are all bound within the Zongo community, we know each other. From Nshayeso, is Oforukrum, before even Asakwara Mampo. As a former MP, if he is interested in this kind of position, they should have given him Nshayeso, but not Asakwara Mampo municipality. Asakwara Mampo municipality, sorry to say, is bigger than him. We are the Zongo people. We understand ourselves. But bringing Kennedy Kankam from Nshayeso to Asakwara Mampo, I'm really hurt, frankly speaking. I'm not happy with this decision. But as the saying goes, they said when two brothers fight to kill themselves, a stranger will inherit their father's position. So this should serve as a lesson to all those who are coming to contest in the near future in some of these positions.
My name is Prince Apia, reporting from Asakwara Mampo.
The local government minister, Damboche, has condemned the violence. Meanwhile, the coalition of metropolitan, municipal and district chief executive aspirants, Commerce, has called for calm and restraint among party faithful over the nominations. At a press briefing in Kumasi, National President Obrimpong Frimpong Emmanuel said the interest of Ghana must be put above all individual and group interest.
As a great party, the good people of Ghana believe we are the very party that can take a dear nation to the land of promise. The 8-year rule of former President Kufuor and the first-term achievement of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa is a solid proof to this fact. Therefore, the mantra breaking the 8 couldn't have come at a better time than this. Notwithstanding, we must understand that this mantra can be achieved on a silver platter. It will take hard work, unity, and sacrifice to achieve. It is for this reason that commerce exists. We have a political enemy that is roaring like a hungry lion for power. By this refer to the NDC. We will not underestimate them in any way. With one mind, one spirit, and one purpose, the NDC's John Dramani Mahama will be retired come 2024. Dear people and colleagues, let me once again emphasize by saying we have a goal to achieve. And the central goal is to build our nation and give hope to our people. We cannot afford to repeat the mistakes of 2008. And to do that, unity is key. So we once again urge all of you all over this nation to admit and accept the present appointments in good faith. We are all joining this coalition. Any member who was aspirant, any person who had a desire to become MC, DC, whatsoever in this regard, we are all joining hands. Whether you lost, whether you won, we are all joining one force. We are all working together, backing our MPs. If I may recall 2008, Nana Addo won in the first round 100,000 plus. But during the rerun, the message of the NDC was that we have been able to capture parliament. So Ghanaians, if you don't give us the presidency, we will frustrate the president and we will not permit him to work.
In all, 222 men and 38 women were nominated. Remember, there's been calls for more women to be given the opportunity to serve in the assemblies. What does 38 women out of 260 nominees mean for local governors? We'll get more on this one, but let's speak with Dr. Eric Odrosan, who is a local governance expert, for more on this one. Doc, I'm grateful for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Right. So first, the long-awaited list is out. Now it's been met with pockets of agitations and violence. Is this a kind of anger needed for immediate reforms?
Well, thank you very much. I will not say it is the kind of anger that is needed for immediate reform. It's rather unfortunate that people are demonstrating and then protesting. And I think this is happening because of the initial list that came out, the leaked report, which should not ordinarily be the case. People must know that it's only one person who can become a chief executive. But to directly respond to your question, it tells us that we should revisit the issue of electing MMDCs because citizens then want to have more active participation in the election of their leaders.
But was this not expected? I mean, from where you sit, with the information that you have and knowing how it's been throughout the period, and also looking at the delay, were you not expecting some of these agitations?
Oh, well, I was expecting, naturally, in any system where there are winners and losers, it is possible that the losers would express some level of disapproval of the status quo. So yes, it was expected, but I was also expecting that it will be managed, because once you know that every 4 years this thing happens, you put in place an arrangement to manage it. So I want to believe that the powers that be will take a cue from this one and then find a way of managing it.
Have you taken your time to look through the list of people who have been appointed? I mean, what do you make of this list?
I have, after going through the list, I noticed that majority of those who were MMDC in the first term were retained. I also noticed some level of improvement in the women that have been nominated. However, because I did not have the benefit of seeing the aspirant, those who applied, the list of those who applied, I'm finding it difficult to connect the number of women who applied as against those who were nominated. But I see some level of improvement in the number of women that have been nominated this time around, though I do not have the specific baseline as to the number of women that were in the previous administration as MMDCs.
We'll get more into the number of women because there's been a lot of campaign to allow more women to get into these positions. But let's look at first at the issue you raised, the fact that this brings about the conversation of electing MMDCs. I mean, what would it take for us to get there?
I think we need a national consensus because the issue of electing MMDCs are in two areas. Electing MMDCs on its own does not require a referendum. It requires an amendment of Article 243, which requires two-thirds majority of members of parliament approving it. It is whether to elect them on a partisan or non-partisan basis that requires a referendum, and that involves the citizens. So I would advise that now that we have an almost hung parliament, the debate must be discussed again. It must be reintroduced in parliament. The two major political parties, NDC and NPP, must take a decision on it. They should support the process to first amend Article 243. Once we are through with that one, we can come to the citizens for the referendum to decide on whether we want to elect them on partisan or non-partisan basis. But my take is that once we have presidents elected on partisan basis, MPs elected on partisan basis, we have no business saying that chief executive should not be elected on partisan basis, because the two important individuals in our governance architecture are elected on partisan basis? Why can't we elect chief executive on partisan basis? And if that is the case, I would also advocate that we should abolish the one-third government appointees in the General Assembly and then ensure that all assembly members are also elected on partisan basis. And once you do that, you introduce some democratic consistency in the system. Citizens will be given the opportunity to participate in the election of their leaders from top to down. That is the way.
Hello, Dr. Drosai. All right.
Hello.
Great. You are back on. Great. So thankfully, the president sometime ago introduced this election of MMDCs, but unfortunately, we could not make any headway with that. For you, what do you see as the biggest challenge or the biggest obstacle for us to get there?
The biggest obstacle is the two political parties agreeing on whether to elect them on partisan or non-partisan basis. If you follow the discussions, at a point, the NDC was in favor of electing MMDCs, but they are not in favor of electing them on partisan basis. But I think that is the conversation we need to have, because if we want to see consistency in governance, then we will elect them on partisan. So that is where we need to build a national consensus on to make progress. And this is the time, because we have an almost hung parliament. So any decision that is taken would be taken on an objective basis. Let me also say that the good thing is that both political parties promised Ghanaians that they are going to elect MMDC. So this is the time for both political parties to make do their promise. So I invite the NPP to reintroduce the debate, and I invite the NDC to shift the goalpost so that we can reach some consensus and move forward in this direction. Because the situation as it is does not promote popular participation in governance. The situation as it is promotes winner takes all, which is not good for our governance. It undermines control. It doesn't improve checks and balances, and it does not even allow the opposition to take part in governance once they are out of office. Or once they are out of office, you lose everything. You lose the board appointment, you lose the ministerial appointment, you lose the MMDC appointment. So when you go into opposition, you are just opposing, and your say in governance is minimal. You can have your say, the government can have its way. But if we are able to elect them on partisan basis, because most of the political parties have strongholds, they are likely to win some of the MCE seats. And once they win the MCE seats, even though they are in opposition, they will still have a say in governance and contribute to the development of the country one way or the other. So I think it's a debate that needs to be revisited.
Suddenly, I mean, these people that have been nominated, and I'm taking you back to the list because people are agitating, and these are the same people who will be working with these MCEs. How would this affect the work of the assemblies if it's not checked?
If it's not checked, what is going to happen is that people would have the opportunity of undermining the chief executive. But what we should also know is that this is just the first phase. Now they have been nominated. They will have to face the General Assembly and secure 2/3 majority before they will be confirmed. If they are not confirmed, then it means they will not become MMDCs. But those who are not happy and they were not nominated, they should also hold their fire, because in case, and in the unlikely event that the Assembly fails to give them the 2/3 majority, it is possible that the president will come back and them to go in there. And then also, if we don't check it, those who did not get the president to nominate them can hide behind Assembly members to prevent those who have been nominated from securing the 2/3 majority. But I hope that we don't get there, because if you belong to the same political parties and you really meant to serve Ghana, just support the person who has been nominated, so that person would implement the development agenda you have in mind. So we will see total development of the areas of jurisdiction. I must say that you don't need to be an MMDC to serve Ghana. You can serve Ghana in any other portfolio, in any other position that the president can give to you.
Dr. Drossan, could this chaos and agitations, could we avert this? I mean, could this have been averted?
I think they did their best to avert it because of the bottom-up approach they used and the consultative basis they use. I think what has really, it is not widespread, but what is allowing even the pockets or the small nature of the violence we are seeing to happen is the leaked report. The committee report that came out raised people's hope. But you see, what people fail to understand is that it is absolutely the preserve of His Excellency the President to decide. The committee was just to aid the president in decision making. Yeah. They can make recommendations, but the president has every right to determine otherwise. So people must understand that it was the report that leaked that raised people's hope, and for which reason people are doing what they are doing. It could have been avoided, and I want to believe they did their best. But we can continue to talk to them so they will stop. But if we don't want to see this happening in the next 4 years, then we should take steps to ultimately elect the MMDC. Because even if MMDCs were to be elected, the winners will jubilate, the losers will go to sleep, as we do in national elections all the time. So the decision point is now.
Well, there's also been the bit about women representation, and I want to give you a picture of what has happened for the sake of our viewers. In the Greater Accra, we have 21 males, 8 females, total 29. In the Ashanti region, we have 39 males, 4 females, making it 43. In the Central region, you have 19 males and 3 females, making it 23. In the Eastern region, 28 males and 5 females, and then making it 33 representatives. Volta has 17 males and 1 female, making it 18 total. And Oti region has 6 males, 2 females, making it 8. Western region, 12 males, 2 females, and 14 in total. And Western North has 9 males, and there's no female representative, making it 9. In the Bongo region, you have 11 males, 1 female. In Bongo East, 10 males, 1 female. In Northern region, 15 males, 1 female. In the Northeast region, 4 males, 2 females. And the Upper West region, 8 males and 3 females. Upper East has 12 males and 3 females. Ahafo has 6 males, and there's no female representative. Savannah has 5 males and 2 females. And you look at the chart there, it gives you 222 men and 38 women, 85.38% for males and 14.62% for females. Doc, how does this come across to you, the distribution, the gender mix?
It's interesting. I noticed that we have 2 regions not having a female nominee. Western North and Ahafo. It's too bad. But I also think that we should ask ourselves how many put themselves up to be nominated. I have not had the opportunity of looking at the application list, but we should encourage women to put themselves up for positions like this, because it seems to me that most of them do not put themselves up. And even if you are approximating it, 50%, approximately 50% women is not bad, because we are making progress towards bridging the gender gap. Previously, it used to be lower than 14%. It used to be around 12%. So now we are making progress, except that we should progress very fast. And here, I would invite my sisters and our aunties to put themselves up for such positions. We would encourage them to up their game, to match up with the men, because I always believe that what men can do, women can do better.
So from now till the time that this process gets to an end, I mean, you've made the point about us revisiting the topic on electing MMDCs. That's a conversation that we are going to start having and continue till we get somewhere with it. But from now till the time that the process ends, what are your expectations?
My expectations are that, one, the Minister for Local Government has outlined the processes. I would expect the regional ministers to quickly kickstart the process by organizing a meeting for the respective presiding members and coordinating directors whose domain this issue falls, and then give them some orientation on the process. Then they will have to work with the Electoral Commission. I want the Electoral Commission to also take up the matter and then work towards confirming them. Since we have few women, I will make a passionate appeal to all assembly members to ensure the unanimous confirmation of all our women. It's very, very important. So the process must continue. People must acquaint themselves with the requirement of the model standing orders of the district assembly, because it is the one that guides this process, so that we would have minimal rejections. If I had my way, within the next 14 days, we should be able to confirm all of them. So the duty is on the regional ministers to ensure that they secure those confirmations. Else, it will continue. If it continues, will delay in our development agenda.
Dr. Oduro-Osai, I'm grateful for your time this afternoon. Dr. Oduro-Osai is a local governance expert. He's also a lawyer. Now, still to come on the pulse, we are giving you this afternoon a blow-by-blow account of how monies were withdrawn from a contractor's account. Stay with me on that story. It's a documentary put together by Manasseh Azori-Awene.
He only got to know about it, but what prompted him to make enquiries was a text message he received on his phone indicating that some amount of money had been withdrawn from his account.
What's up, guys? My name is Sammy Forson, host of the Weekend City Show and Ignition right here on Joy 99.7 FM. Well, anytime you happen to be busy and you miss out on your favorite shows right here on Joy FM, here's what you can do. Log on to myjoyonline.com/podcast. Just go on there and you'll find all your shows on demand 24/7. There you can catch up. Remember, Joy FM remains your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Welcome back to the Pulse. Now, he had a bid for a contract and hoping to win it. So when he was asked to submit his bank checkbooks, he gladly did, in the hope that was the window to his bid success. But that's just the beginning of his feud with his Bongo District Assembly, accusing them of allegedly withdrawing monies amounting to 180,000 Ghana cedis from his private business account without the consent of the account holder. The assembly is said to have first deposited the money in the account under the pretext of awarding a contract to the company, then went to withdraw it later. The full story is captured in this special investigative work by Manasseh Azori-Awene.
When the CEO of Apogan KA Enterprise, Asumbekere Karim Anabla, got a notification that 31,000 cedis had been withdrawn in cash from his bank account, he was alarmed. But what alarmed him more was the name that came with the alert: David Aruk. David Aruk is the engineer and head of works department at the Bongo District Assembly, and Karim said he had not permitted him to withdraw any money from his account. Roxanne Akugre is the lawyer Karim contacted to officially seek answers from the bank and the district assembly.
We got instructions from our client in the nature of an award, a purportedly awarded contract to him. He's not aware that that contract has been awarded to him. He only got to know about it, but what prompted him to make enquiries was a text message he received on his phone indicating that some amount of money had been withdrawn from his account. His account, business account with Maltaba Rural Bank in Bongo. So that alerted him to make enquiries, and he got to know that a contract was purportedly awarded to him to drill, construct, test, and do hand pump installation in some location unknown to him. And the district chief executive, Peter Ayimbisa, was the person who signed the letter awarding the contract to him. And the money was paid into the account without his knowledge, and it was withdrawn without his knowledge.
Went to the Bongo Community Bank, Maltaba, and asked the manager. The manager told me that there was some contracts awarded to my company at Bongo Assembly. So they paid the money, and then they came and wrote the money. The Bongo coordinating director called me, Samuel Akanyanga, and pleaded with me that it was a mistake that they have used my documents. Then I told him that when you are using my documents, did you tell me anything? That's no.
On June 14, 2021, an amount of 156,000 cedis entered and disappeared from Karim's account at the Maltaba Community Bank in Bongo under murkier circumstances than the first withdrawal from the same bank. This time, Karim did not get a notification. He suspected the bank had intentionally deactivated the alert to him.
The first one, I got the transaction on my phone, but the second one, they disconnect me on the transaction. So I went and complained to them, and they told me there's a problem, and then my number have deleted to their system. So I should give them the number to connect me again. So I gave them the number 26th June. So they connect me on the transaction 26th June again.
The chairman and two members of the board of the bank told me a technical problem resulted in the deactivation of notification to Karim. When Karim requested a statement of accounts from the bank, it did not indicate who withdrew the money. The narration that went with the withdrawal of the 156,000 was miscellaneous debits. The DC of Bongo, Peter Ayimbesa Ayamga, said the assembly could not have gone to withdraw any money from the contractor's account.
So I was surprised that they said that assembly went back and made same withdrawal. As I said, I'm not aware that assembly went back to make withdrawal. Assembly cannot go to make withdrawal because the project does not belong to assembly. The monies were paid in the names of the company. So how could the assembly, that is not the company, go back to the bank to make withdrawals? In any case, assembly doesn't issue checks like previously. We pay through the GIFMIS platform. So when we pay, it goes through Bank of Ghana, and they do the transfer of same money to the contractor's bank, and it went to the bank. So how could we go back into the GIFMIS platform and make withdrawals of same? In the first place, we are not the contractors.
Despite this assertion, his head of works, David Aruk, admitted he withdrew the first amount, but claimed he did not know what he was doing.
In fact, I don't even know how to start. I was called at the bank that we have good working relationship, this and that I should come. When I got there, Baba was sitting with the bank manager, and the manager wanted to find out whether we have given a job to Baba. And I said yes. They say actually he was looking for some facility or something. He wanted to be sure. But that we have paid mobilization to him. And I said yes. They say, okay, can I endorse for him? So something like this banking system, I'm not used to those things. So if I know BA very well, and I know manager, so if they say I should endorse for him, I didn't see anything wrong with that. And that is how I endorsed the distance there. Then BA, the money was given to BA, and he went and started his work.
If you say endorse, what kind of endorsement? Because you are not a party to the account. So if you are to endorse for money to be removed,
they brought a pink, was it a pink form like that?
Was it a withdrawal form?
I should think so. Because he said I should endorse, and I didn't have interest. The money was not mine and all those things. So honestly, I didn't take time to read what was there.
My investigation to establish who withdrew the 156,000 started at the Maltaba Community Bank in Bongo. The bank manager, Felix Akora, said he had been instructed by the board of directors not to speak on the matter. I then called and met the board chairman of the bank in Bolgatanga. Dr. Francis Atentono came with two other board members to that meeting. The board chairman said the information he had was that the 156,000 cedis was withdrawn by Karim's friend, Assar, and given to the assembly. Assar denied the claim by the board chairman of the bank.
I would be surprised that I hear my name and this issue that I pick money from bank. I didn't know anything about picking money from Bongo Bank.
In my interview with the DCE, he said his checks had revealed that Karim had signed the check and given it to Baba to countersign and withdraw the money.
A sample of the withdrawal from the bank, and none of my officers was a signatory to that check that was withdrawn. A check was written by Karim to the Baba. I saw that behind the check, the endorsement is that of the contractor, Baba. He countersigned and made a withdrawal. And I realized that Karim also had signed, the check was written by himself, he had signed the check and given it to them to withdraw. And mind you, because the certificate originally belonged to that person, of course, the one who used it needed his permission or consent before he's able to make withdrawal. Perhaps it is on the basis of that Baba got Karim to issue a check for him, because the check was not issued under duress. It was not issued under any marching orders. It is Karim himself who willingly issued the check to Baba, and Baba went and withdrew the cash. That is what I have here as information from the bank.
When I met Baba, however, he said he went to the bank with a check, but it was given to him by an official of the assembly and not Karim, as the DCE said.
It was Assar who endorsed, but I didn't know whether the money was in Assar account, but he endorsed the check and everything.
Yes, so if you didn't know the owner of the, so who gave you the check? Who handed the check over to you?
It is the DFO who handed the check to me.
So, how did Karim's check get to the assembly? He said after the assembly withdrew the 31,000 cedis and he confronted them, they admitted that he had used his business to award a contract and that he should cooperate with them so that they would be able to withdraw the money and complete the project. As a sign of good faith, he said the assembly officials asked him to deposit a blank check with the assembly, which he did with his signature and name on it.
And I told him that what we do is that you have to send me to the site where you have did the work, and then you provide me a receipt. I don't want problem tomorrow. And then he was accepted that they will send me to the site. And then that day that they gave me a award letter for that job, then I give him an open check that is to hold the check. He cannot withdraw money more than 5,000 in my accounts. So if you hold the check and send me to the site that they have did the work, and then I'm certified for the work, I will come and draw the money. But if they didn't do the work, I won't draw the money to them.
Karim named the assembly officials who were at the meeting when he presented the check.
I've given the check to, there was 5 people. Bongo coordinating director, the DFO, and then David Aruk, and then there's assistant engineer Ebenezer, and then the planner and Baguette. They was there, and then including one of my friend called Assar.
This meeting, Karim said, was held on June 12, but on June 14, he heard assembly wanted to withdraw the money without even taking him to the project sites.
Because the job is belong to me, so I don't want problem tomorrow. And then he told me that the following day he will give me the receipt of that demand that they have to take from me, and then they will send me to the site. The following day they didn't, and I called him on phone and told him that the third party cannot withdraw money more than 5,000 in my account, so I don't want them to go to my accounts again. I don't want them to go to my accounts. And then he told me that if the money has reflect, they will call me and send me to the site before where I can't help them. And then okay, so I went to the bank again. The manager wasn't there, but I met the woman. She's the accountant. And I told the woman that there's some money payment from Bongo District Assembly, so I don't want anyone to come to my accounts and draw any money.
And then he told me that he's not yet seeing any money like that. But if he sees something, he will call me. So no, but I went and called the manager again and told him that the money, if they pay money to my accounts, I don't want anyone to come and rob the money again.
Despite his protest to the coordinating director and the manager of the bank, the Assembly's finance officer and Baba went to the bank to withdraw the 156,000 cedis from his account.
When we went to the bank, I endorsed the back of the check. Then I asked the supervisor and said, we should see the manager before the district finance officer. So he said, I should give it to the cashier, but she will talk to the manager. She went in to the manager, so after which then we picked the money.
Karim said he had got to the bank at 2 p.m. to stop the payment. The board chairman said the money was withdrawn in the morning before Karim's intervention later in the day. Baba, however, told me he and the Assembly's finance officer went to the bank close to 3 p.m. to withdraw the money.
It was around 2 something to 3. I can't remember exactly. Yes, around 2 something getting to 3.
I'm surprised that this matter has taken this stage, because somewhere late last year we had opportunity to drill some 20 boreholes. So accordingly we did the advert and people applied. We followed laid down procedure. Procurement procedures were properly adhered to. We awarded contract to 2 people to execute the drilling of the boreholes. So 2 people used the same company to apply, alongside with some other applicants. And 2 companies or 2 people were successful in that bid. So we awarded.
Sorry, who are these 2 people who use the same company to apply?
One is Madame Diana Abunia, and then the other is Insobila. They both used the same company and applied, and both were successful.
And do you also feel or find an anomaly in the fact that you put out an advert for a contract and the 2 separate people you are giving the contracts to, they are coming with the same company? Is this very normal? You already have somebody who's been dealing with you with the same company.
At a point, I even thought that it was the 20 boreholes were going to one person. I told you that towards November, that was the peak of the elections. So I was deeply involved in the campaign, leading the charge of the campaign. It is important for me to have been part of the campaign to ensure that the president is retained. I even thought the 20 boreholes were meant for one company. It was later I realized there were 2 lots. So the 2 could have been given to one company, still within our threshold.
It turned out that Baba did not have the permission of the company he used to apply for the contract. Baba Nsobile Sebastian admitted he did not contact the owner of the company himself.
Ahead of the advert, but as at the time the advert, all my documents wasn't ready. It was expired. The Works and Housing, I couldn't renew it. So I asked the engineer if there's any help. They said, oh, he will talk to ASA and use his contract. So he talked to ASA, and then this is assembly engineer.
The engineer of the assembly?
Yes. So he talked to ASA I asked him if he can talk to ASA to get me his certificate. So he actually talked to ASA, then they used the certificate to award the contract for me.
David Aruk said he contacted a friend of the owner of the company, Asa.
I know the company belongs to Asa, and BA also said he wanted to do work, and that is how I mentioned to Asa that your friend says that he's using your company, and he said yes. So I said, oh, fine.
Asa, however, said he was only contacted after the assembly withdrew the money and Karim got offended and confronted them.
I'm aware about the case. The assembly staff contacted me saying that they use somebody company contract license and awarded contract for themselves. But the problem come in. But they hear that the person is my friend. So I should plead the person for their behalf, which I did. And then the guy also said that he is afraid what will happen to him tomorrow. That's what I know. David Duke. Yeah, he called me and told me these stories, that this is that and that. And then I should, according to their information, they said the guy is my friend. So I should talk to the guy.
In June 2021, Karim's lawyers wrote to the assembly and the bank to formally demand answers.
We wrote to the district chief executive and copied the manager of the bank. And that is the demand notice you are talking about. What we wanted to know was to find out when the contract was awarded to him and how come monies were withdrawn from his business account without his knowledge, without his authorization. Who did pay in the money and how was the money? So we wanted an explanation. We have gotten some explanation from their lawyer. We wrote a letter on, it's dated 14th June 2021. Their response came 13th July 2021 from Law Temple. And the lawyer concerned is Mohammed Taido Nambe, my good friend. In his response, he says that what is contained in the demand notice are accurate, but not entirely factual. And that itself is not too clear what he's talking about. If what we are saying is accurate, how it can be factually not entirely correct. Then they go on to say that indeed contracts were awarded to people. I don't know which people he's talking about, because we are talking about a contract purportedly awarded to our client, and for which reason money was paid for him to execute the contract, and the same money was withdrawn by the people who paid in the money. So we wanted an explanation to that regard, but this letter says that contracts were awarded to people who used our client's business certificate to execute the contract, and payments were effected. Now, there's no consent nor authorization whatsoever from our client to whoever the people he's referring to are here. Okay? And that is what we think smacks of fraud, because in any event, I must be the person who should be authorizing the person to whom you are awarding the contract. If I'm not in the loan, then there's fraud here.
Karim and his lawyers doubt the bank used the blank check to withdraw the money. The Bank of Ghana rules do not allow a person to withdraw more than 5,000 cedis from a third-party account. But the board chairman of Maltaba Community Bank said sometimes they relax their rules for their customers. The DCE said this could have been a possibility.
I've heard that a third party might not be able to withdraw beyond over the counter, I think 5,000 or so. But it depends on the relationship between the client and the bank. If they are very good relationship, they are able to do phone calls and phone calls should be able to resolve their matters. But that is left with the bank to respond to, because I don't work with the bank.
Sources say the DCE wields some considerable influence in the bank, but he disagrees. The Bongo District Assembly owns 30% shares in that bank, but the DCE in person has some interest in the bank.
Are you a board member of the bank?
Yes, I'm a director of the bank. I became a director 2 clear years before I became a DCE.
You are still a director?
Yes, I'm still a director. I personally have vested interest in that bank because I own shares in that bank.
Fauzia Adamu, the district finance officer of the assembly, who went with Baba to the bank to withdraw the 156,000 cedis, is also a board member of the bank. In the course of the exchanges between Karim, the bank and the assembly, the National Intelligence Bureau, formerly BNI, invited the parties for questioning in Bolgatanga.
Personally, as a DCE, I have not met Karim in discussing this matter until the regional commander for BNI, now NIB, invited me, him, and then the manager, and then the engineer. So we met in his office over this matter, and they said we were going to have heard from both of us, so they were going to put up their report.
My sources in the intelligence agency say the Bongo District Assembly officials admitted they awarded a contract to the management of the assembly, who shared the proceeds from the contract when the job was done. My sources at the bureau said the assembly had relied on David Aruk to seek permission from the owner of the company that was used for the deal, but he failed to do so. I asked Aruk his response to what appeared like wrongdoing on his part, that is, taking money from the account of the contractor without his knowledge or authorization.
Like I'm saying that it's this development that I now know that what I did was not right. But when I got to the bank, my belief and the trust was that I was doing the right thing for BA.
Peter Ayimbisa Ayanga maintained that the whole brouhaha surrounding the contract and the withdrawal of money was orchestrated by his political detractors to dissuade President Akufo-Addo from maintaining him as the DCE of Bongo. He said the work had been completed, and that was the most important thing. I visited at least 3 of the sites, and the boreholes had been completed after the withdrawal of the money.
It's not as if the boreholes have not been drilled. My interest as a chief executive is to ensure that Bongo community gets water. The Bongo people get water to drink.
The DCE dismissed claims that the boreholes were only done after the intense confusion relating to the contract. He swore he did not benefit from the deal.
I can tell and swear by your camera and the video you are using that this whole contract, even 1 Ghana cedis, has not come to my pocket. I swear same by my vehicle. Not 1 Ghana cedis has come to my pocket. If somebody got money and bought pito or beer for me, different. But to take part of that process, that project and money, they say, chief, they take this one. I swear by my car, Lord steer. As I live here, I shouldn't get home.
It is unclear what powers a video camera or the steering wheel of a vehicle have to be able to ascertain the innocence or guilt of persons. What is clear is that the Bongo District Assembly and the Maltaba Community Bank have more questions to answer to higher authorities. Manasseh Azore Awene, reporting for the 4th Estate.
Let's dig deep into this, and joining me via Zoom for more is Manasseh Azore Awene. He put together this documentary. I'll also be joined by Courage Boti, who is with the data bank, to run us through what really happens in the bank when some of these transactions happen. And later I'll be joined by Dr. Reina Komparija, who is also a lawyer. Let me start with you, Manasseh. Good to have you. First, tell us how you got wind of this matter.
Aisha, I got wind of this matter when I posted on a project that was done in a way that resulted in a problem in a Bongo district, that the assembly had awarded a contract for a temporary dining hall to be made or constructed. And the money wasn't enough, the structure collapsed, and so the contractor was blaming the assembly for it. And we're just lucky that It happened when the students were not eating at the time. Otherwise, there could have been deaths. So it was after I made that post that somebody drew my attention to the fact that the assembly was noted for anomalies in awarded contracts. And then this issue was brought to my attention. And to be frank, when they first narrated it, I felt it was too outrageous to be true, because I didn't understand how it was possible for the assembly to go to a bank, take money from someone's account without their authorization. But when I went into it, it happened to be true.
But how was this possible in the first place, Manasseh?
It appears there was some complicity on the part of the bank, and the assembly wields some interest or influence in the bank. As you know, the assembly is a shareholder of that bank. The district chief executive, Peter Ayimbisa, is a shareholder and also a director of the bank. There is a woman who is the assembly's finance officer. He is also a director of the bank. In fact, she was the one who went with the Baba guy to withdraw the 156,000 cedis on the 14th of June from the contractor's account. So with all of this, one is tempted to believe that the assembly has some interest in the bank and also was able to use its influence to work with officials of the bank to let this happen. Otherwise, I don't think it is ever possible to get into somebody's account and withdraw such huge sums of money beyond 5,000 cedis, even if they had a check from the owner of the account.
Interestingly and thankfully, we have Courage Botti, who is with the data bank. He joins us via Zoom to also tell us what happens in the bank. Courage, I'm grateful that you joined. I need you to paint a picture of what exactly happens with this kind of transactions. I mean, money dropping into an account, the money immediately being transferred into another account, or withdrawn outright without the consent of the account owner. How in God's name can this happen?
Thank you and good evening to your listeners. Typically, when you present a check at the counter, let me just issue a disclaimer that I work with Data Bank and I'm not a commercial banker, but I'm aware of what processes goes on in the banking hall. So I'm just sharing my expertise based on what I know. Typically, when you present a check at the counter, I think the first job of the teller is to authenticate the veracity of the check. They would have run it through some UV light to see if it's a clone check or it's an authentic check. They would have gone into their systems to check who the signatories on the counter and whether the signatories on the check match it's on behind the check or on the face of the check. Typically, for a corporate account, the limit on that account per Bank of Ghana regulations will be 5,000 cedis, and the check can either be closed or open check. So if it's a closed check, they would not give you cash on the counter. They would pay it into your account. So, for instance, if you bear Bank A's check and you have an account with Bank B, Bank A will not honor that check if the check is a closed check. They'll ask you to take it to your bank, which will be Bank B, to pay it into your account. But if it's an open check, they won't give you cash more than 5,000 cedis. In fact, the check will not be honored if it's more than 5,000 cedis per the Bank of Ghana regulations. So if a check is honored to whatever tune of money that is being talked about, there is reasonable ground to say that the bank may have played a role in its action.
So when such things happen, who usually should take the first blame, knowing very well, I mean, that the check usually will go through processes before it can be cashed or transferred?
Well, for me as a client of a bank, I have money in my account and I trust that you protect the money. And then the rule is that if a client is withdrawing beyond a certain amount, you need to confirm from, say, the owner of the account. To the extent that the bank hasn't done any of those, of course, they have questions to answer, even to their client. But from the Bank of Ghana's perspective, if indeed they honor the check above 5,000 cedis, which is clearly contrary to the rules, then of course they have questions to answer at the Bank of Ghana also.
Let's look at the provisions of the law, and joining me is Dr. Reina Komparija, who is a lawyer. Doc, thanks so much for your time. Does this fit into a case of misrepresentation, impersonation, and fraud? If it does, how does the law dictate that we handle it? All right, so we'll try and get Dr. Komparija to join this conversation because he's key to this discussion. But let me bring you back, Manasseh. Is the police taking an interest in this matter?
Well, since we did this report, we are yet to hear the police or any other person acting. But when I was in Bongo and Bolga, I made a point to visit and interact with some officials at the National Intelligence Bureau, because the parties mentioned that the National Intelligence Bureau, which used to be the BNI, got wind of the matter and invited all of them to Bolgatanga to have a discussion. And my sources within the NIB told me that a report was prepared and then submitted to Accra. What I know from their operations is that they, at the regional level, they would have to send a report to the national level. It was at the NIB that I realized, or their sources told me, that the officials of the assembly actually admitted using somebody's company to award a contract to officials of the assembly, and whatever proceeds that came out of that deal were shared among members of the management of the Bongo District Assembly. So I suppose that at the level of the NIB, they should be handling this, but that was done long before I went to Bolga, so I don't know to what extent they are taking this matter up. I heard somewhere that a group within the region was planning to petition SHRAJ and also the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Thankfully, Dr. Komparija is back on the line. Doc, earlier I was asking if this fits into misrepresentation or impersonation or even fraud. If it does, then what does the law dictate that we do or handle this kind of issue?
Yeah, so Aisha, thank you. Thank you to your listeners and your viewers. This is quite a minefield, isn't it? And to the extent that you have a collusion between the assembly officials and management of the assembly on the one hand, and you have the active participation of a private citizen on the other hand, and they have consummated an idea. You know, the whole essence of criminal law is the intent. So from the word go, this was, to all intents and purposes, a criminal enterprise by the actors of the assembly, as well as the private individuals, and also some officials of the bank. And so at every level of the engagement, at every level of this whole messy situation, there's the element of crime. And so if you want to start from the fact that the assembly is in that unhealthy relationship between a private contractor, have intended to, if you like, misrepresent, on the one hand, as pursuing a legitimate business, and to sidestep the law, the processes, and the procurement processes that would, because I would think that this, first of all, also flouts against the procurement rules, because the contract term would dictate that there's an involvement of due process of invitation to the public. But did they do that? They didn't do that. So they would have fouled the procurement processes and the Procurement Act. Now, the intent to, so you also have to question value for money. So what did they occasion? Did they occasion some loss of revenue or some loss of income to the disassembly? That is also something that under Act 29 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act 1960, we would find, even so, the consummation of the agreement itself, because that forms the foundation for every element, all the pieces of the interactions up to the point of withdrawing the money from the bank also constitutes a criminal activity. And I'm sure that the involvement of the state prosecutors and the Attorney General's office, the Special Prosecutor's office, and all agencies of state that are responsible for prosecuting criminal elements would pursue it. There's fraud, there's misrepresentation, there's impersonation, there is flouting of the rules of procurement processes. You can find about 5 to 6 criminal elements, and I'm sure that if the will and determination is there to get to the bottom of this matter, there has to be some prosecution at the end of the day.
Doc, is it possible for such a thing to happen without any insight? I'm talking about the bank. Isn't this a breach of the banking regulation?
Yes, so first of all, what has happened at the bank is also very telling, because first of all, the bank as an institution relates to its customers on a one-on-one basis. Okay, so that account holder is the only person, as the bankers have explained already, that account holder is the only person that can legitimately transact business in the nature of withdrawal. Okay, so if the bank did not honor that, because it's a contract between that individual and the bank as an institution to make sure that his deposit and his money is safe within their custody, because that's the primary and fundamental duty of a bank, is to ensure the safety of all deposits in individual accounts. There's something we usually call the Know Your Client rules. Okay, Know Your Client rules, KCR or something, that the bank at the point of taking on board a customer would know who is this individual, what business is he involved in, what is the purpose of the account. So even by the Banking Act, and you know, we now have the Money Laundering Act that also precludes some of these activities, because individuals set up accounts purposely for criminal enterprises and criminal activities. And this may be one of them. And we need to know deeper than we're seeing now. Is this the first time that the Assembly is engaged in this? Now, officers of the bank, is this the very first time? What other contracts were awarded, for instance, in the past that have similar characteristics as we are looking at this now? And this is a poor district. I'm from the district. This is a very poor district, and we know that resources do not flow very well to some of these areas. And the little that we have, this is what is being channeled to through a very grandiose scheme of corruption. And like I said, the banking officials who are colluding and who are colluded will also have to answer. They have flouted the banking regulations. I'm sure it's a community bank, and because it's a community bank, the FS Bank would have supervisory responsibility and in ensuring that they apprehend. I think by now we should have had arrests and pending investigation. Arrest, suspensions, depending on the level that the crime is committed. We should have had arrest, we should have had suspension. The president should have. It's not enough not to really nominate a district chief executive as a district, but he is actively perpetuating a crime. The president is aware of that. And so at the level of political decision, I think that the district chief executive would have to, beyond the law, we need to see also political action at the presidential level as well.
So what kind of sanctions are they going to be facing per the law?
So ordinarily speaking, there's stealing. Okay. Now, what has happened between the assembly members and the bank, that is stealing, because then they are appropriating money that does not belong to them. So that is stealing. Clearly, I think that's under Section 46 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act. So that is stealing. And so when you are found culpable or guilty of the offense of stealing, you are in prison, isn't it? Upwards of 10 years, you are in prison. So that clearly is mandated by law, it's mandated by criminal code. And so there would be that prosecution that will end in that. Then causing financial loss to the state under sections, I think 170A amended of the Criminal Offences Act, they will also have to answer if indeed their action has occasioned some financial loss to the assembly and to the state for that matter. That will be another offense. You remember the cases of Tetu versus Attorney General and the state versus Attorney Chachuchikata and the Kwame Pepper, and all of those cases. That's precedent that we could have some sort of some sort of prosecution and then imprisonment. Now, the law allows for some sort of, if you like, allows high-level crime. I don't know if this one qualifies for high-level crime for the perpetrators of the crime to make some payments to the state in lieu of some prosecution or in lieu of some sentencing. That's also available. Now, the bank itself will have to also pay some taxes. Will their license be revoked or having not complied with the requirements of the law in their establishment? So the instrument that established the bank, that has put the bank, in fact, it looks very murky, and they put the only rural bank in the constitution.
All right, so Dr. Reina Kumparija there, who is a lawyer, he's been outlining some sanctions that the people involved in this could be facing. Manasseh, if you're still there, wrap it up for me. Has any of you, yourself, have you lodged any complaint, or the company owner, have you launched any complaints with the police?
For now, no. The Fourth Estate is still watching things as they unfold. And if any such thing is going to be done, it will be done at the institutional level.
All right, I'm grateful that you all joined me. Manasseh Azori-Awuni is the one who put together this expose, and this has just begun. It is something that we are going to be following through to end, and will bring you viewers updates on all of this. Courage Boti is with Data Bank. I'm grateful that you joined us for this conversation. I'll take a break on the Pulse. Remember to join the conversation via all our social media handles. Also tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. I'm coming right back.
Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
99.7.
Welcome back to The Pulse. We are live from our studios in Kokomlemle. We are on Go TV channel 144 and DSTV channel 421. Let's talk about the classroom project now. And this afternoon, we just want to remind you that you could be that miracle eagerly being sought by pupils of the Breman Jamara DA Basic School in the Central Region and the Zonayele EA Primary School in Tolon in the Northern Region. Why? Because the pupils are still waiting for your assistance to be able to reconstruct and rehabilitate their respective weak school blocks, which are posing a threat to their lives and education. Who knows? That could be the best gift you would have given them this year. Yes. In case you're still wondering about how to support the classroom project, I'm joined in the studio by project lead MFA Tiamoeli here at the Multimedia Group to tell us more about this. Hi, MFA.
Hello, Aisha.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
And how are we going with our classroom project?
I think so far so good, except that we need more support. And as you read earlier, we are hoping to support two communities, one in Tolon and the other in the Central Region. So those are two main projects there, and we need a lot more support to be able to quickly complete within the timelines we have given the communities. And also, we also want to use this opportunity to commend or appreciate those who have already made their donations or supported in various ways. I mean, so that they can see the classroom projects be a reality in the lives of these two communities. So on this note, briefly, I just want to give mention to a few donors. Godfred Asante James, Misim Giftiya, Brego, Nso Cosmos, Veronica Agude, Kwabi 75 Enterprise, Helena, Benir Ranatus, and Obeng Chumesi Murphy. There are quite a number of them. We just want to say that they've donated. Yeah. We are very much grateful, and we say we appreciate, but then we need the support to come in more.
Like Oliver Twist.
Exactly, we're asking for more until we see the project up. And yes, the timeline is in December, so we are saying that, who knows, that project could be the best gift you would be giving to these people before Christmas, and you don't want this, how would I say, excitement to elude them. So we are appealing to you, whatever form you can support, be it in cash and kind, we are always here to receive your support.
But why at all should anybody give or support this project?
Okay, so Aisha, we are talking about development. Often we look up to government to help us get development in our various communities, and it is not everything that government can do, and given the situation in which we find ourselves, specifically the COVID situation, there are lots more as individuals or citizens we can do to support ourselves at the local level. And you know, if you go to a number of the classrooms in the communities, there's a lot of congestion. Also, the school blocks are very weak, they are not safe, and you're afraid. There's this story of 6 kg people dying in Brima 4 years ago. We are saying that not too far from that block is another one. And I will not be happy to be sitting here with you to be telling you that we are recording additional deaths or someone has been killed again because we didn't do what we had to do. Yes, so that's why we are doing this. And it's not about government. Nanado said we should be what? Citizens, not spectators. This is the opportunity for you to prove your citizenship. Do something. Don't wait for government to come and fix a 3-unit classroom block, bring a desk, get a roof.
I mean, these are things that individually we can do to support government.
We can't wait for them.
Who is government? Government is you and I.
Exactly. So exactly. So you want to be part.
Definitely. So how do people get to support this?
For all your assistance, we are asking, in case you want to do Momo transaction, you can send your donations to 0593 038832. I'm taking the number again, 0593 038832. Also, in case you want to do a bank transaction, you can go to the Access Bank, the Castle Road branch. The number is 00901 0105491. The number again is 0090101054191. The Castle Road branch there.
And of course, the branch code is there on your screen.
Exactly.
009.
Exactly.
And I think the SWIFT code, which is ABNGGHAC. Thank you so much, MFA. And we're hoping, viewers, that, I mean, you can contribute your video smite to this and help a child out there to get a befitting and conducive environment
to be able to learn. Yes.
And that's MFA Tiamoeli. She's the lead project for the classroom project here on JoyNews and also other multimedia group. Now let's go to Guinea, because the military regime in Guinea is today calling the bluff of regional body ECOWAS rubbishing the sanctions imposed on them last week and rejecting the call of the deposed leader Alpha Condé to be released. The bloc, currently chaired by Ghana's president Nana Akufo-Addo, sanctioned against the military and ordered them to return the country to civilian rule within 6 months. That call was followed up by ECOWAS chairman President Akufo-Addo to Guinea, where he requested a release of former President Alpha Condé, but Junta led by Colonel Mamadou Damboya is defiant. We'll hear from them shortly. First, here's my colleague Kwekwa Sante with a report detailing all that have happened since the coup.
On 4th September 2021, Alpha Condé had attended an event as president with Colonel Mamadou Damboya as a member of his security detail, the man who would eventually lead a coup to topple the Condé administration just 24 hours later. The next day, pictures emerged on social media of the Guinean president surrounded by gun-wielding soldiers with his shirt buttons open. He was later seen at the back of a 4-wheel vehicle being driven out of the capital, Conakry. He has since been in detention and not seen publicly.
We're here to allow Guineans to live together and for all of us to enjoy the benefits of this country. That's our objective.
That is Lieutenant Colonel Mamadou Damboya, head of the Guinea National Rally and Development Committee, announcing that the military had toppled the government of Alpha Condé. Citizens poured onto the streets of Conakry to celebrate the ousting of the president. Alpha Condé had changed the constitution under circumstances some had described as unconstitutional to seek a third term. ECOWAS immediately convened a summit via video conference and suspended Guinea from the body, and also dispatched a high-level delegation led by Ghana's foreign minister to see the situation of the former president and advise ECOWAS on the way forward. An extraordinary summit followed, with ECOWAS announcing a number of sanctions against the military regime and its leaders.
6 months election should be held. This time, the authority decided to go on specific sanction directly to individual.
ECOWAS also came under intense fire for failing to act to avert the situation. Shirley Ayeko-Botwe says the criticism is unfair, as there were background talks with the former Guinean leader.
No, ECOWAS could not have and did not sit aloof or stand aloof and watch this happen. We engaged, and I was even part of delegations that went there, sent by the heads of state.
Back here in Ghana, work on the flyover which connects the Spintex Road to East Legon has resumed after 2 years of delay due to payment challenges. Contractors working on the project, which was initially costed at 70 million, said it's abandoned the site in 2019, pushing back the completion date of the 2-year project by another 2 years, and was to last 2 years. Over the weekend, the Department of Urban Roads announced a 1-month interruption of traffic flow to allow contractors resume work. My colleague Manuel Cranting was at the project site and now reports.
It choked, and all the time, Charlie, it's very stressful here. Driving from, sometimes the traffic is from here till the runabout.
We are suffering, I'm telling you. Right now, as I'm speaking, they want me going to deliver a goods, but because of traffic, you have to pass different.
Some motorists who use the flower pot roundabout off the Spintex Road, speaking of the traffic situation on the road. The flyover project, which was to connect parts of East Legon area to Spintex Road, had delayed for over 2 years since salt was cut in 2017 due to payment challenges worsening the traffic flow at the roundabout.
The main problem is, you see, we go into the under bridge there. From the Bema camp there, you can't turn. There's no way. So you are forced to be in, and it's so frustrating.
Papa had the Spintex traffic in Hana Choco. Now I stay here to getting to 8 years to 9 years. It's very congested. It's very bad. Very bad. Yes, I have to use my pass so many corners just to dodge traffic. And if something happened to it will go against me.
But after discussions with government, the contractors from China Railway Engineering No. 5 are back on site. Arnold Edu is resident engineer at the project site.
Work went on 2017-2018, and due to some outstanding certificates, work was suspended for a while. So last year 2020, the last quarter of 2020, work resumed. So we've worked from, the project is a flyover from the flower pot area all the way over the motorway into East Legon. So last year work started on that beyond the motorway, the boundary road, toward the East Legon police station. Some work has gone on, and we are continuing what is left for this portion toward the flower pot area. All those coming from Bema camp to East Legon, most of them have to go and pass through the tunnel. So when it's completed, this flyover will carry traffic from all that place, from Bema camp across the motorway into East Legon. And also, if you are in East Legon, you'll be able to come to this part of town.
We'll take a break on the pulse. When we return, there's a very latest coming from the sports world with Hans Mensah. Stay tuned.
What's up, guys? My name is Sammy Forson, host of the Weekend City Show and Ignition, right here on Joy 99.7 FM. Well, anytime you happen to be busy and you miss out on your favorite shows right here on Joy FM, here's what you can do. Log on to myjoyonline.com/podcast. Just go on there and you'll find all your shows on demand 24/7. There you can catch up. Remember, Joy FM remains your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
And here with sports on the pulse. And Accra Hearts of Oak, they made themselves a huge favour in their preliminary game in the CAF Champions League yesterday at the Accra Sports Stadium against CI Kamsa, winning by 2-0 in the final 15 minutes of that game. The Phobians, of course, largely uninspiring from the first half, and the early stages of the second half came into life after Coach Samuel Boadu rung the changes in the final embers of the game to record a 2-0 victory. Kofi Koji getting a goal, from a free kick, and then they had Salim Adams also with a belter to seal the victory for them. They move on to face Moroccan side Wydad Atletico Casablanca in the next stage of the competition. Joining me, Mubarak Haruna, to take a look back at yesterday's game and see the chances of Accra Hearts of Oak as they aim, can we say to conquer Africa just yet? It's a bit too early to use that phrase, but make quite an impression on the continental stage. Thank you very much, Mubarak. And first off, what are your thoughts about Hearts of Oak's performance generally yesterday?
Well, Hans, I wasn't mightily impressed, especially in the first half, because I felt this fixture was, to me, a mismatch, because Hearts, in all departments, they are better than CI Kamser. In terms of pedigree, Hearts won the Champions League in 2000, they won the CAF Super Cup, they won the CAF Confederations Cup in 2004, Ghana Premier League champions in about 21 times. So they are a top club. CI Kamser, they are yet to win a major trophy in Guinea. And when you look at the quality of players, Hearts have got quality on the field of play as well. Yesterday, I felt the players, they had a bit of butterflies in their stomach. Their performance was not up to the mark. But thanks to the technical ingenuity from Samuel Boadu, they were able to secure the win yesterday.
Let's switch attention to their opponent in the next stage of the competition. That's a side that is hugely experienced on the African terrain, Wydad Atletico Casablanca of Morocco. They've played here a number of times against Kumasi Asante Kotoko as well on the continental stage. Do you think Hearts of Oak, and that's the obvious question everybody seems to be asking, do Hearts have what it takes to go past them?
It's a very tough question, but the most title holders in Morocco, they've won 21 league titles in Morocco. They are not a small club. That is the fact. They've won 2 Champions League titles. They've won the Super Cup as well. So to me, to be very honest with you, it is a daunting task. I don't see Hearts progressing to the next stage of the competition, but I feel they should relish the challenge because they are meeting a very top side. They should appreciate the challenge and then play to their optimum best. They are having a new experience. Samuel Boadu's technical team, and most of the players, they are not experienced as far as African competitions are concerned. So for me, it's very difficult to say they can progress, but they should relish the challenge because they are meeting a giant club on the continent.
And of course, there was also talk about the absence of Gladson Awako. Looking at yesterday's game and looking at Wydad, if he returns, how much of a chance does he give Accra Hearts of Oak?
He has won almost everything on the continent. Let's not forget about that. He's an experienced player in terms of playing on the continent and also age-wise in football. So there's no doubt about his quality. Yesterday, when I was watching Accra Hearts of Oak, they missed a number 10 player actually, because I felt the role of Fred Botwe and Emmanuel Nete was not clearly defined. They were more or less doing the same thing. And Nete didn't have a good game, and so he had to be substituted. So I feel if Gladson Awako were to be fit, he would really help Hearts of Oak.
Well, we'll see if the midfielder does make a return to the ranks of Accra Hearts of Oak. But thank you very much, Mubarak. That'll be all for now. You can read more sports at myjoyonline.com/sport. I am Hans Mensah.
Hello, I'm Doreen Nando. You can catch up with all the fun on the Cosmopolitan Mix and on all our shows via podcast. Just go to My Joy Online podcast and search for your favorite show and relive those moments all over again. Only on Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
And as I wrap up the Pulse this afternoon, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. You will find stories including Bongo scandal, Assembly withdraws 187K from Contractor's bank account without permission. You get updates of all the developing stories. Many thanks for your time. Up next is Let's Talk Showbiz. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.
Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
99.7.
He is in our midst, amen. I minister a very briefly song, a song that has been a blessing to me personally, amen. To me, da sibre, panomame, namasema, jefe, naudome, sanctuary, and they would do. I'm so excited and I really appreciate everybody for being here today. God bless you all. First and foremost, the reason why we are here is because of what my sister said, the grace experience. I really want to thank God one more time for grace experience. And then also it's going to be live in Paris Chapel, Matayeko branch. And by God's grace, we have great and powerful women of God. We have our Papa Edamreku, and then also my mama here, Hannah Manfo, and also Prophet Abiyam Danso. I have my uncle, Fifi Koda, and then I have my sister, Efe Grace, Lady Chati, Adipa, Minister Jeffrey, and then Minister Paulo. We have a lot of ministers that are going to minister on the 26th of September.
Oba fefe adifefa nyame na mso a obeye e ade a esombo pa nyame boa 26 obi bia meka ye ho ai ye bompa ye kese afa program ye se obi obebe bia wo haw ne amane bia no onyame befa ye nyum to so no wayi wo haw ne amane no enti ja wo mre nyina to wo ba wo kwa wo ma fo bi ka ho bra ne nyina mpja asafo urade.
Well, congratulations on Grace Experience.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
What has inspired you for Grace Experience?
Oh, so Grace Experience. As I shared my story earlier on, I'll say my story and by the grace of God. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I can see a lot of ministers on there. What were you looking out for when you're deciding on the kind of person to minister on the Grace Experience?
So I prayed to God and then I heard their name. So when I call each and every one, so make sure me say me person me BBC no obi ampoponiti omunyina jitu mo awawatu. So like it's by the grace of God, because it's not easy for my first time doing something like this in Ghana, and then the people on the flyer is by the grace of God.
First of all, I would like to make something very clear. I mean, for everybody to know that acting is a job. Acting is a profession. And, of course, definitely, there are so many people across the world who have, benefited from acting positively and depended solely on acting and have survived. Of course you can. Why not? It depends on what you do, who you are, and of course the kind of jobs or projects that you are attracted to. You can solely depend on acting. It's so possible. In as much as you can. Let's look at the other side. I mean, or generally, Andy, you're a radio personality. Bankers, lawyers, I mean, wherever you find yourself, humanly possible, human right, you are expected, to do something on the side, regardless of what you do, regardless of how much you make. As a human being, my opinion generally, you cannot solely depend on what you're doing. You cannot be content with what you're doing, because, I mean, what if something happens where you are? What if COVID happens?